Well, it's actually proven that if you choose a partner with a similar credit score or a similar profile, then you are more likely to have lasting success. So if you have a bad credit score, you need to find somebody else with a bad credit score. If you have a good credit score, you need to find somebody else with a good credit score. And the reason why, so credit is really how you understand and how you actually view your finances. Hello everyone, my name is Micah Smith and I am here with another episode of Rebuild and Rise. And today I want to talk about finances when you're in a relationship, but I also want to talk about the type of woman that I aspire to be, and I want to talk to you about what my motivation factors are. And I want to actually start off by reading something for all of you. And recently, so this is inspired by, so I have a wonderful group of couples that my husband and I, we meet with on Wednesday nights, and we are just working on becoming better couples. And we talk and we read the Bible and we have amazing sessions just to learn how to become better spouses. So it was during our last session that we actually were reading Proverbs 31. And Proverbs 31 is a very near and dear chapter in the Bible to me. I actually had it read at our wedding. My husband and my wedding, we had it read. And it was something that was so important to me because it truly is the woman that I aspire to be. So I just want to take a moment to read to you what a Proverbs 31 woman is. And it says, "An excellent wife, who can find? She is far more precious than jewels. The heart of her husband trusts in her, and he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not harm all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and works with willing hands. She is like the ships of the merchant. She brings her food from afar. She rises while it is yet night and provides food for her household and portions for her maidens. She considers a field and buys it. With the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. She dresses herself with strength and makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She opens her hand to the poor and reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all of her household are clothed in scarlet. She makes bed coverings for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them. She delivers sashes to the merchant. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at the days to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. She looks well to the ways of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women have done excellently, but you surpass them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands and let her works praise her in the gates." This is something that I wanted to talk about because I wanted to first start off with this as a precursor to the woman that I aspire to be and what motivates me to be the woman that I am. And I heard something really profound by Kathy Greer, and she did this beautiful Connexus conference. It's a women's business conference, and she said this beautiful thing, and she said, when we're reading the Bible, she said, these aren't suggestions, these are commands. And I was like, oh my gosh, she is right. And there's all these little things that I was struggling with my faith, and there was a lot of little things that I needed to address. And this helped me immensely. Like when we are given instruction from God's word, it's not a suggestion, it's a command. And that's how I look at it. And so I don't take running my company, I don't take this lightly. This is something that God blessed me with, and he gave it to me to oversee. And as a Proverbs 31 woman, I do not eat the bread of idleness. And so for me, relationships, finances, for me, I look at this and I mean, listen to what it says. She is rising in the night and provides food for her household. She considers a field and she buys it. And with the fruit of her hands, she plants a vineyard. This is a woman who gives to her family, and she is a woman of contribution, and she helps out the needy and she helps out the poor. And for me, my life's mission has always been to contribute to society. And so when I was dating my husband, this was something that was very heavy. And this has always been very heavy on my heart. I've always been very inspired to be this woman. And for me, dating and my husband, this is something that he and we talked about early on. It was finances. And so obviously, I'm in the credit space. And so the first thing I do want to talk about is I do want to talk about credit and your spouse. So I actually had my pastor, Dr. Greg Williamson, he came on the podcast. If you have not listened to those 2 episodes, my goodness gracious, please go back and listen to them, because there was so much wisdom that he poured out in regards to how finances work in marriages and how much pain it causes in marriages. And so I want to talk to you first about credit, because credit is one of those things that for whatever reason, people are never taught this stuff in high school or college. And so when you're dating, it's really wise to get this out into the open early, because essentially when you're choosing a mate and you're choosing a spouse, finances, if you are not in alignment with your finances, it is the number 2 reason as to why people get divorced today. The number 1 is communication. Number 2 is finances. So if you're not in alignment with finances and how you think finances should be handled, you're going to have trouble. And it's funny because I do all these interesting studies and I read all this stuff about credit. Well, it's actually proven that if you choose a partner with a similar credit score or a similar profile, then you are more likely to have lasting success. So if you have a bad credit score, you need to find somebody else with a bad credit score. If you have a good credit score, you need to find somebody else with a good credit score. And the reason why, so credit is really how you understand and how you actually view your finances. And so one of the big things that people don't even realize, so if you get married, listen, your credit score is not going to become your credit score. Like the two don't intertwine, right? Socials don't merge. It doesn't work that way. But what I will tell you is this, is that if you go to apply for a home and you're married, right? Or let's just say you're not even married, you go to apply for a home with somebody else. The person with the lowest credit score is ultimately going to determine your approval at all, as well as your rate. So if you're the liability, so in my last podcast, I talked about this. I said, either you are an asset or you are a liability in life. And that's how I look at relationships, is I say either you're an asset or you're a liability. And if you are a liability, then you essentially, right, you are costing that other person potentially their peace. And so I implore you to do your due diligence, protect yourself, and get these things out in the open early on and learn how to communicate. I mean, there is nothing worse than going into a relationship, whether it's business or personal, with misaligned expectations. And so until it is out in the open, it is absolutely clear on paper, right? You don't know until you know. And so get these things out in the open. And if it's something that you want to work through with your significant other, then I would implore you to do that. If you spend a significant amount of time with this person, I would suggest work through it with them and get onto the same page together. Because I will tell you, finances are a big deal, and you need to be aligned in your finances when it comes to credit. And so, I mean, even Dr. Greg had talked about the importance of, when you go into marriages, and obviously to each their own, but in the church, he talks about how him and Susie, they never had a prenup. Like, we're not going to do a prenup, because essentially that's saying that, well, there's an out if we need one. And the way that they look at marriage is that this is final. This is it. And I will tell you what that has done for my marriage. What has done for my marriage is knowing that this is final. This is it. It gives me such a peace every single day, because I know I have my person and we are committed to making the relationship work no matter what we experience day to day. And so I want to encourage you, have the conversation early, because an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure. You don't want to be 5 years into a relationship and all of a sudden find out this person, looks at things very, very differently than you do, in the financial world. I'm telling you, it causes a world of hurt. Pastor Greg, who does a ton of premarital counseling, this is something that he constantly has to address because it hasn't been addressed already. So I encourage all of you to talk about finances early on. And if you are not the asset, then you're the liability. And I would encourage you, go into the relationship wanting to be an asset. When I married my husband, I didn't marry my husband because I needed him. I didn't need my husband. I wanted my husband. He wasn't filling this gap that only he could fill. It was something where I came as a whole, he came as a whole, and we sit at the table together and we eat together. And the biggest thing that I want to tell you, and why, again, like this Proverbs 31 is so important to me, what I wanted to actually discuss with everybody here today is that I think sometimes there are some unrealistic expectations put onto a significant other or a spouse. And I think that the more that we can take responsibility for ourselves and say, this is the type of person that I want to be, my spouse, this world is going to be a better place. And so for me, the most important thing that I wanted to do for my husband is I wanted to make sure that he had a safe space to come to. I wanted to make sure that he knew that all of the responsibility of having a house, running a house, having a household, and I wanted him to know that it wasn't all on him. And I wanted him to know, hey, I am your partner in all of this. And this Proverbs 31 woman, right, she dresses herself with strength. She makes her arms strong. She perceives that her merchandise is profitable. Her lamp does not go out at night. She puts her hands to the distaff and her hands hold a spindle. The thing is that the Proverbs 31 woman is a hardworking woman who contributes to her household and to society. And so for me, it was really important that I contributed in the way that I knew would be the most valuable. And so I would implore each of you, so I'll leave you with this because this was a really great exercise that we did at this little meeting that we had, is we said, how would your father-in-law expect you to treat your spouse? And so I thought about that and what would the expectation be. And so the men answered for the men and the women answered for the women. And the biggest thing I will say is that if we looked at it that way, if we looked at it as, how would my father-in-law want me to treat them? I mean, I think it's pretty easy for us to become honest with ourselves as to how we should treat our significant others. And finances should never get in the way of this beautiful bond, this blessing of marriage that God gives us. It is such a divine connection, having a spouse and a partner. And I truly believe in the sanctity of marriage. I think that it is such a blessed union. And when you are with the right person, the sky is the limit. And they say that you can do 30% more with the right partner versus with the wrong partner. You're really probably going to end up doing 30% less. So, again, it's so important who you choose, the person you choose. And when you're coming to the table, address these things early because credit, finances, it's such a big deal. And when you're building this bond and you're building this union, that open communication is going to be so powerful for helping you navigate through the trials of life. Because I'm going to tell you, couples face issues every single day that you would just never expect. Whether it's death, whether it's financial, whether it's the loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, it's sickness. There's so many things that the outside world is going to throw at you. And so the tighter you can be in union and the more in alignment you can be in everything, the more successful you're going to be and you'll be so happy. And I will tell you something that really resonated with me. So I also love, I listen to thousands of really smart people, but I listen to Stephen Furtick sometimes. He's one of my favorite pastors. He's super, super passionate. And he was like, you sit here and you're complaining about the very thing that you begged God for. And I was like, whoa. He was talking about people that complain about their kids, people that complain about their spouse, people that complain about their job. And I want to help you reframe your mindset because at the end of the day, have you ever sat there and you just cursed the things or the people that you begged God for? Have you ever done that? Because I have. And that was a very eye-opening moment for me. And at that moment, I said, never again. I'm not going to sit here and complain about the things that I begged God for. Because in a moment's notice, those things can be taken away. And all of a sudden, we're going to find ourselves in a position that we never wanted to be in. And so with that being said, I just wanted to give you just a tidbit of information that I have recently obtained from being surrounded with some exceptionally gifted people, some people who are very successfully married, but they've gone through some stuff. And successful marriages, businesses, they go through stuff. So I want to just give you these tidbits so that way you can fall forward into something. And I can't thank you enough for taking your time to listen and to watch today. So that wraps up another episode of Rebuild and Rise. If this was something that inspired you, or if this is something that you think somebody else would be inspired to hear or watch, please do share, please like and subscribe, and please leave us a review. It helps other listeners and viewers find us. Thank you so much. This is Micah Smith with Rebuild and Rise. God bless.